Good evening, everyone. How you doing? So today we're gonna talk a little bit about what kind of colors we project or we filter from what comes from outside, going through within, and then exteriorate it again. If you understand a little bit about colors, colors have the power of setting mood or changing perception of informing in a subtle way how to feel about it. If you go to Google and just put the word chromotherapy, you're gonna see that colors do have a influence in our mood. And based on that, and based on those books, we're gonna talk about most of them. Of course, they are not in English yet. The Gospel According to Spiritism is. Christian Agenda it is. The Regenerate World, I don't believe it is. Our Bread, or Daily Bread from Chico Xavier, I believe it is. And the other one, Sinal Verde, it's Green Light, it is. So most of them are in English. But if you want to check that, especially one, probably you can get per chapters and then translate. The chapter that I'm talking about here is the iridescent light, and it talks about how colors come to us, or how perceptions, information comes from outside, and you can refine that information to become a very pretty light, because that's what the prism does, right? You put one single color and it will reflect a multitude of colors, but it will depend on us, on what we have inside. So each refined virtue manifests in daily life. Patience. Let's start with this. Iridescent light is the consciousness in refinement that begins to reveal goodness. When you have conscience about your choices, when you have conscience about what you can do and what you cannot do, and we all do, but we prefer sometimes to forget about it, just to pass by, just to don't use our free will in order to understand something that can be a little complicated. But what we're talking about here, who drives an I-4 to come here? So when somebody crosses in front of you a little bit harsh, you say, go in peace, my... Yeah, yeah. You say, go in peace, my brother? Yeah, not really. So mostly the colors that you are projecting are not the most beautiful colors that you can do. But you have the choice, right? You have the choice to be patient. You have the choice to, because patience sometimes improves traffic, not the traffic itself, improve your perception of traffic. So you get a little calmer to hear. And most of the time, I don't know you, but especially when we do the fraternal help here, every Wednesday, my patient is put it to a proof. Every Wednesday, something happens to get me out of my center. And sometimes I just make fun of that because, hey, I know this trick, okay? You guys have to do better to make me mad. But sometimes I just fall into the trap, and that's how it is. Polish inside reflect the outside. So when you are in peace inside, the colors that you exude are colors of peace. People will understand that in a conscious way, in a subconscious way. Your body will reflect to that. Because when a person matures within, virtues begin to appear in various areas, like turning into color. Inner light becomes with outer color. What is inner light? Your virtues, when they are revealed. When the soul matures, clarity unfolds into colors of virtue. When your soul matures, when you want to do the exercise of understanding a little better what's coming to you. And that's so true that even our states of mind do have colors. Look at it. Depression, look at the colors. Happiness, look at the colors. This is neuroscience, by the way, okay? This is not spiritism. But this is neuroscience proving that colors do have some effect on us as well. So when you have anxiety, when you have depression, when you're happy, when you love, look at all beautiful colors of love. So can we produce those colors? Are we able to do that? Yes, we are. And that's the fun part of it. Because most of our colors are born from choice. Our choice. The heart works like a prism. Choices for goodness become colors in daily life. Choices for goodness. We always have a choice to do good or not. But I know you probably noticed so far that do good makes you feel good. So always choose, if you can, to do good, because you're going to feel like that. Colors appear when the choice is repeated. It's not the first time that you do something that you're going to have this color showing up. But small, consistent decisions change the climate of the mental home. Repeating goodness makes the right color stick. To what? To yourself. To your soul. Can we see those colors? We, as incarnated bodies, don't. Our souls? Yeah. Our subconscious? Yes. Which is the closest to our soul. Because that's something that doesn't go to our reasoning. The shadow fades when we repeat today's small right choice. We just dim up the light when we start choosing things right. So it's easy to light up a dark room with just a single match, right? You just light up and all of a sudden you have light to see. If it's not a big room, you can see pretty much everything. But as much as you turn that to a big light, you can see pretty much everything. So right now, we have the choice of keep repeating good things in our lives to choose the colors that we're going to paint the world. In Portuguese, the word to wake up is acordar. A, from something, cor, which is color, and dar, which is a verb, give. So in Portuguese, acordar is give color too. Every time you wake, you have a choice to paint your day right off the bat, right when you wake up. Which color are you painting your day? Oh my God, here I go again. I have to go to school. I have to see that such and such. What color do you think you're painting your day? Huh? Yeah. And whose choice is that? You want to see everything brown? You want to see everything gray? Well, be our guest. But please, don't complain about it. You put the color there. You have the choice of seeing the colors bright. And then your day will be brighter. It's about brain. It's a brain control. You can do that. If we can do that, and we are older than you guys, you can do that. We always try to get serenity out of something. Get serenity out of refinement. What I'm talking about, pain does not extinguish the light. It polishes the shine so it becomes serene. Oh, here you go again, Peter, talking about pain. Nobody likes pain, but we do have pain all over. So isn't it time to understand what pain really is? We feel pain every time we have a choice that we have to make. We have something that we don't want to do, but we need to do. But why do you put the colors of pain in that when it can be an opportunity to see things in a different way, an opportunity to do something different today? Definition of insanity by Freud: doing the same thing over and over, trying to get a different outcome. It's not gonna get. So why not today you choose your palette of colors and get a brighter color and get a bolder color, whatever color, but paint differently. If you paint the same way over and over, we're going to have Will here, a painter, to tell you guys about that. Why don't you try a different color? If the color is not working, try a different one. All you can get, it's a different outcome. Wow, will be so hard. Pain is not punishment. Pain is a teacher, not a jailer. It's the sandpaper that reveals the shine. Hope is not waiting. It's trust to take one more step. 1% each day, whoever walks lights up. Hope is trust in motivation. Clarity advancing step by step. People think, oh, you're too hopeful. Good for you. As long as not blind faith, keep your hopes up. Our brain works with choices. That is a story by Osho, which is a leader on the indie world, that he was talking about, that he every year goes to this competition of who can grow the more beautiful rose. And a general every year win the prize. And he was like, how come a general, a guy that deals with, killing orders and stuff, can grow such a beautiful thing? So he decides to follow the general back to his house. And it was a big house with a big garden, so he could get into the garden. And then he saw the gardener and said, oh, there he is. That's the guy. And he went to ask him, how do you grow year after year the most beautiful rose of Bangladesh? And the guy said, well, you have the rose, you have the branch, you have a lot of other roses that can grow from there. I just choose the best one with the more quality, and I cut the other ones. Because the food, if it goes to a lot of places, all of them are going to get some, but no one's going to get all. This is focus. He's talking about focus. If you focus in 3 different things all at the same time, you don't have power to focus on your goal. You don't have power to change the colors that you need to change in your day. So every time you decide to cut some branches and keep the best flower to grow, that's what you're going to get. Make sense? So, what are the colors of togetherness? We know that the soul is a mix of mind, emotions, and body, right? As a matter of fact, the soul controls the mind. There is no proof from science so far where the thoughts come from. They know, or they couldn't scan a specific place in our brain where our thoughts come from. Guess how many thoughts we have a day? 20? Too many? Yeah. In between 50 to 80,000. Girls, a little bit more. How can we control all of those? Because every single thought, it's kind of an order that you give to your brain to follow through. How can you control 50 to 80,000? How can you say to yourself, I'm not going to have bad thoughts? Can you do that? during the day? Are you sure you're going to control yourself to a point that you're not going to have one bad thought the whole day? So what can you do to work so with emotions, with the body, and with the mind? Huh? Meditate is great because it slows down the volume of thoughts, correct? But one thing that you can assume that you're going to have bad thoughts, you can mentally do the deal with the bad thought. Like, okay, you can open the door of your brain and say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm late. Come back tomorrow. You don't need to invite the bad thought to your room and serve him coffee. And that's what we do. We feed this kind of thoughts. And that's when the colors go down on the palette, go to the darker side of the palette. We can always assume that we're going to have bad thoughts, but you don't need to enjoy. Oh, nobody enjoys bad thoughts. You don't need to feed it. You don't need to make it grow bigger than it is right now. So we just say, okay, you know what? That's in Brazil we call the Baker model, which is free tomorrow. So you come tomorrow and you see the sign, free tomorrow. And you come tomorrow, the sign is free tomorrow. So we're never going to get anything free because it's always tomorrow. It's the same thing for bad thoughts. Come back tomorrow. And tomorrow, come back tomorrow. And just let them pass by. Don't entertain your bad thoughts. Charity organized the mental home and colors of coexistence with peace. So, yes, meditate is good. The method of don't entertain the bad thoughts is good. But when you do something for real, that's when transformation starts. What is charity? What is charity?
Giving of yourself.
Giving of yourself. It's not giving food. It's not giving money. It's giving of yourself. Don't get me wrong. Please keep feeling, the ones that don't have too much. But it's not just that. It's more than that. When you give a little bit of yourself, you are validating the human in front of you. And sometimes people that are in a bad condition feels less human than us. So just by validating, being with them, giving a little bit of yourself, you can do wonders. And we think that we are so cool because we are spiritists, and we are the first ones to fail. And I had an episode not too long that I fell. And I was lucky enough that the person told me that I fell. Because otherwise I was not going to pick that as a failure. But again, admit, change. Because then you change the color. If you refuse to admit, you're going to entertain the problem inside of you. Prayer adjusts the tuning and sustains the lights that has already been born within. People think that prayer doesn't have too much effect. Prayer is the number one tool that we can have. When we are depressed, when we are in a bad situation, and when we are good, because we don't pray too much to thank. You normally pray to ask. So please pray to thank as well. Prayer is a good thing because when you pray, every kind of energy that is around you change colors, change polarity, change vibration, and spirits tune up with our vibration, with our colors per se. Serving organizes and cleans the mental home. When I take the focus out of myself and help, the mind clears and the coexistence improves. And prayer, tune up, adjust the dial. And the kids don't know what dial is, but it's that little thing on the phone that we used to roll to call somebody. But you still have the dial to channel radios and stuff. So when you twist enough to get to the right perception or to the right way of working, you will see that wonders happen. If the heart changes frequency, the environment changes color. Change the tuning, change the landscape. Change your tuning, you see the landscape changing. It's not just mental, it's spiritual as well, but it's a decision, because there is no way to be satisfied or to have your belly full just by reading the menu. Just by watching speeches, just by reading books, it's great. You're feeding your brain with good food. But if you don't put that in action, you actually stay in the middle. The seed that don't grow, that stays a seed for the whole existence, didn't do its part. The seed needs to crack. And that's some pain in this, right? To become a flower, it needs to crack. The birds need to crack the egg, right? It's not easy. The butterfly suffers to become a butterfly. So everything needs to face some adversity in order to become something better. A bamboo stays 7 years under the ground. And in 1 year, it goes up like crazy. But it was 7 years gathering strength to be a bamboo. Do we have the patience to stay, gathering information, strength, energy to finally crack the egg and become the beautiful soul that we are said to be? If we're not ready now, we will be later. And that's the good thing about our Father. He sees us as the final product. It doesn't matter how long it's going to take. It matters to us, but for Him, He knows that we're going to get there. So the color that validates faith. Outside charity, there's no salvation. Charity is the most visible color of goodness within us. What do you do in your daily tasks that you can be charitable? Because you can be charitable every single day. If you look for opportunities, if you just live, that's how it is. Dr. Deepak Chopra, not a spiritist, used to say, if you want to know why you are like this today, look what you did in the past. If you want to know what you're going to be in the future, look what you're doing now. And he completes the sentence. Open your heart, or the heart surgeon will do that for you. It's radical? Yeah. It's true? Many times. Much more than we want. But yeah, because we don't know to be charitable, we don't know to be, or we don't want to know, we don't want to see the opportunities that we have in front of us to be good, to do good. So faith that does not paint life is not faith. The faith that doesn't color your life is not faith. It's blind faith. The proof of faith is charity, is the most visible color of goodness in us. Choosing the light means thinking, speaking, and acting in the same color. Idea, word, and gesture must match. Coherence generates clarity. The story says that the pastor was in his church when somebody from the village say, "Hey, pastor, we need to get out of here because the rivers start, rising, and in a few hours, the city will be under the water." And the pastor said, "No, God is my Savior. He's going to save my church. I'm going to stay." Okay. The water comes up on the first level, and people coming with the big trucks, "Pastor, get out of here. This is going to get ugly." And the pastor said, no. God's going to save my church and myself. I have faith in God. The water comes to the second level. Now they're passing by with boats. "Pastor, get out of here. You're going to die." "No, I have faith." So the water goes up to the bell. And where the pastor go? To see God. Right? When he got in front of God, he said, "I had so much faith on you. Why didn't you save me?" I say, "I tried. One too many times." How many times we want things to be the way we want them to be, instead of seeing the opportunities that are rising on the side, and we don't want that opportunity because it's not the way that we thought it will be. This is blind faith. Rational faith is what Spiritism teaches. Understand the whys. Makes it easier. Don't just believe because somebody told you or because something happens. Today I was doing a podcast and somebody told me that he didn't like Spiritists because his mother-in-law told that his son that was born with the disease was like this because he was bad in the past life, and that was the punishment for him. We know that this is the case, but do you need to present like this? Is that the right way of telling things? What happened? He hates Spiritists up to today because we talk and say, "I'm going to open my heart to you." She told me that when she was 16, somebody told her to not read this medium's book. It's just for people that develop the mediumship. What concept is that? You can read whatever you want. Of course, if you're depressed, you're not going to read books about suicide. It's not going to happen. But reading a book about mediumship will not change, will not make her a medium or less than that. It's just about curiosity. So again, sometimes we don't understand the way we talk and the, effect of that. Sometimes we choose the wrong colors in the palette. The choice here, or the argument here, is choose the right colors. Because when the right colors are chosen, people change.
These people have a lot to talk about. They just don't know it yet. In a minute, we'll show them that they have more in common than they think.
Hej alle sammen. Tak fordi I er kommet. Thomas, vil du stille dig der? Og Aske? Thomas, du bor med din familie i et dejligt hus på Vinkelhøj 8 i Viby. Før I flyttede ind, var det faktisk dit barndomshjem, Aske.
Det er rigtigt. Ja. Fodbold i haven om sommeren. Og
kan I forestille mig?
Ja, præcis.
Vi laver igen.
Mathilde, vil du komme herop?
Check how the colors change. Why they
I
talk
to
to each
har
other.
faktisk stået over for hinanden før.
Okay.
Men der var I 12 år. Og de var i en rugbykamp.
Okay, ja.
Kampen endte i øvrigt 42-0 til Askes hold.
Tak for kampen. Ja, tak.
Inger, Mathilde, den nat, du kom til verden for 27 år siden på Christiania, var Inger det første menneske, du så.
Var du min jordmor? Nå, fint.
kan du huske det?
Anna, i 2012 er din mand ude at løbe en tur. Pludselig falder han om med hjertestop.
Ja.
Heldigvis er der en, der reagerer hurtigt og redder ham. Knud, vil du komme herop?
How can you change colors so fast?
Godt at hilse på dig.
By finding meaning on the other
Just
one.
below the surface, a total stranger can turn out to be someone you're actually connected to.
Det er godt et stykke tid siden.
Someone who rouses forgotten memories. Like the very first kiss. Someone who reminds you that you're not alone. But that somebody else also has a bulldog named Prebin. Someone like Thomas, who put out a fire at Vibeka's place.
Vi er så taknemmelige for, at brandvæsenet kom så hurtigt.
Someone you've been gaming with for years, but
Kender I to hinanden?
have never met.
Altamon, mød Lil Salt.
Det er løgn. Det er topfraggeren.
Jeg har fandme kendt den anden i 3-4 år, uden at nogensinde mødt den anden, eller set den anden før. Altså,
If we approach each other, we might find out that we share the same destiny.
Rana og Maha, I kom til Danmark fra Syrien for 4 år siden. Dorit og Jan, I har en lignende historie fra 2. verdenskrig.
Jeg har prøvet at være flygtning, og jeg vil aldrig glemme det. Det har betydet usigeligt meget.
Og Rikke, det var din oldefar, der risikerede sit liv ved at sejle Jan over Øresund den oktoberaften i 1943.
It's easy to mind your own business. It takes a little more effort to mind the community. But doesn't the feeling of having something in common, something that connects us, make it all worthwhile? TV2, all that we share.
No, this is not 23andMe, but they just share their stories, which means that they just share their colors. Are you willing to share your story with a total stranger and all of a sudden find out that it's not as stranger as you think? Because what connects us as human beings is our stories, it's our colors. It's the colors that we paint during our lives. We need to transform ourselves, our morality, moral transformation and maturity. How? Well, Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 15, the true Spiritist is recognized by their moral transformation. Can we become Christ tomorrow? In 10 days? A month? 2 months? 10 years? 10 incarnations? We don't know. Does that mean that we're not going to try because it's so far from us? Or are we going to try to improve our colors little by little until we get to a place or a better place than we are right now? Inner reform is a verb. It's not a label. It's not something that you do for people to look at it. There is a pastor called Joe Austin. He doesn't have a church. He has a stadium. And he was talking about character. And he was saying, well, you know, I have a wife that when I'm going to put the water bottle on the case, she wants me to clean the whole bottle. Although just the little tip of it touched the water. And I always, argue with her because of that. So that was me at home. She was out. There was nobody to look at me. And I need to replace the water bottle. And what did I do? I questioned myself 100 times, but I cleaned up the whole bottle. And he come with this. Character is doing what you need to do when nobody's looking. Because when people are looking, you are doing for credits for your ego. And as our friend Alter used to say, ego is edging God out. So do for the good of the transformation, the moral, the maturity that you need to have. Sometimes we need to do something that doesn't please us too much. But in the end, you're going to get recognition from yourself. You're going to tap your shoulders. And that's the best recognition that you can get, not from somebody else. What matters the most is how I treat people, not how they treat me. Because that's my choice. I don't have a choice to tell them how to treat me. I have a choice to treat them how I want to treat. Trials invite the heart to maturity, which desires to serve. Trials invite the heart to maturity. So, why in the world are we are in the planet of trials and atonements? Because we need to mature our heart. Simple as that. Trials call the heart to grow and serve. Maturity appears in the response you choose. And the response is your true size. So we need to have a mental hygiene, a mental diet, and turn into good things. The discipline of thought is the hygiene of the inner light, controlling our thoughts as we speak before. Prayer readjusts the frequency and makes the colors of goodness reappear. We have one tool right there, prayer. Another tool is just to understand that we're going to have good and bad thoughts during the day. We can choose which ones we're going to entertain. And it's up to you to entertain the right ones. You know what happiness is made of? What is happiness for you? What is happiness for you? Something you're looking for. But if you don't know what it is, how can you find it? I have to look in my inside. What is happiness for you? Being at peace. Angelica, what is happiness for you? Happiness. Peace of heart. Peace of heart. Rich. Good thoughts, good feelings. Well, family. How can you achieve happiness?
What is the key to happiness? Is it more money, a bigger house, fancy cars, another degree to put on your wall? Well, it turns out it's actually none of those. And there's proof now, because Harvard did an 80-year study on happiness that started in 1938, where they interviewed 724 teenage boys from all walks of life, from students at Harvard to boys that lived in houses with no running water. And overall, there was one key factor to a person's happiness, no matter where they came from or how successful they did or did not become. And over the course of 80 years, Harvard found out that the number one thing that mattered the most to an overall happiness that a person had was this: the quality of their relationships. Now, this is not how many friends they had on Facebook or how many people they had stored inside of their cell phones, but the quality and the depth of their closest relationships. And they started this study when these men were in their late teens and kept it going all the way until their deaths, interviewing them every 2 years, and they sat down in their living rooms. They got their medical records. They talked to their doctors. They did brain scans. They interviewed their wives, their children, and over 2,000 of their grandchildren over the course of the years. And over again, they found that happiness or lack of happiness came from their relationships. But there was one interesting finding that the professors did not expect. The Harvard professors learned that the happiest people in the study were not only deeply connected with friends and family and their community, but they actually lived longer than those that were not. And they realized that social connections keep us healthier. And loneliness is toxic. Loneliness kills. In fact, 70 different studies across the world with 3.4 million participants found out that social isolation and loneliness are linked to premature death. And they found that the men that had the greatest levels of satisfaction in their relationship when they were 50 years old were the healthiest. And the ones that had the lowest levels of satisfaction in their relationships at 50, they didn't even make it to their 80s. So, what can we learn from these men over this 80-year study? If you want to be happy, then there's one thing that you should focus on, and that's the quality of your relationships. And that's with the people that are around you, the ones that you are closest to. Sure, go out and get the success you want, the money, the house, the cars, the business, or whatever else that you desire. That's your prerogative. But don't think that those things will make you happy. Don't think that they'll fill a hole that you feel inside of you. The only thing that can make you truly fulfilled are deep, meaningful, close relationships. So love the ones that are around you and put your relationships first and work on developing them. And the success, the money, the fulfillment, the health, and the happiness will naturally make their way into your life.
Will, can I use you as an example? How old are you? 79. Will didn't have the dream life. He had his ups and downs. He went to war. He got back to US and was not recognized by the service that he did because it was a hippie time and they were against the war. He saw things that are hard to forget. But he had a beautiful family. And when I had the pleasure to talk to him and he tell me stories about his family, I understand this study from Harvard. He has good friends. He has a spouse that he's happy with, and vice versa. That is the key to longevity. That is the key to paint the world with right colors. And I could not choose the better person as a painter to be my example. If you look at his paintings, I didn't remember anyone that is dark or that is, depressed. But from what I heard, there are so many reasons and so many stories that he also told me that are not cool. They are painful. But why is he so up in life? It's a decision of what colors you're going to choose in your palette to paint your day, to paint your world, to paint the life around you and around everybody. Does it make sense, guys? Does it make sense? So, we have our mental models: think, feel, and act. When you think, you feel something, and then you will prompt to act. And then you have results. So what is the secret? In a difficult encounter, choose the best next word and gesture of fraternity. Hard, right? Bless you. The secret of the colors of good is simple. Think, feel, act in goodness. When? When? When are you going to do this? Are you going to wait to be good? Why? Why? If you can do good now, why are you going to wait to be good? There's no reason to wait. One word lights up a dark room. Choose the best next word and a gesture of fraternity. The climate changes in seconds. Simple, repeated, sustained. Today has the color Me, you, and everybody else paint. Choose wisely. Much peace. So we're gonna go for our 5-minute meditation, and it's gonna be followed by the passes. And of course, I'm gonna ask you guys to help with the lights, just dim the lights around if it's possible.